Hello and you're welcome to the Big Tech Show with me, Adrian Weckler. Now, we're going to do it again. We're going to tackle the most consistent, the most persistent conspiracy theory out there. Is your phone listening to you? You mention a holiday destination. You mention a health service. You mention an unusual object. The next day, you see an ad on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or somewhere else for that very thing. And you wonder, can that really be a coincidence? I know that many of you listening to this and watching this are 100% sure in your head that it is not a coincidence, that there must be some way of connecting that conversation, because you never talked about it before, or you hadn't talked about it in months. And how are you only seeing an ad for it now? Leave aside the fact that it would be illegal. Leave aside the fact that all the tech companies say that they don't do it. Leave aside your own common sense that suggests if that were the case all the time, then there would be a big streaming bill on your phone, or your phone's battery would be shot to hell because your microphone will be on all the time. You just know in your heart of hearts that it's happening. And a year or two ago, you would have had a piece of evidence that supported your case, and it was in America, and it was an advertising firm called Cox Media Group, and there was a pitch deck, an advertising pitch deck that they circulated, and it went viral. And it claimed that it could use active listening software, that was the phrase they used, to link physical conversations near smart devices, such as phones, with targeted ad campaigns. And you noted that, and you thought, I knew it. That guy Weckler has been telling me for years that it's not happening. It has been happening, and here is the proof. Well, guess what? The US Federal Trade Commission the other week has fined Cox Media Group for making it up. The watchdog said, and I'm quoting here, that Cox deceived customers by falsely claiming to offer an AI-powered service that could target localized ads based on conversations captured from consumer smart devices. And it added, I'm still quoting here, the service did not, in fact, listen in on consumers' conversations or use voice data at all, nor did the service accurately place ads in customers' desired locations. Instead, the service the companies provided consisted of reselling, at a significant markup, email lists obtained from other data brokers, which is exactly the same kind of shady stuff that we knew that online tech companies and social media firms and data brokers have been doing for years. And it really leaves the conspiracy theory struggling. JJ Clarke is here with me. What do you make of all that?
Well, I think I'm converted, and I'm converted by you. So before I started working on this podcast a little over 2 years ago, I believed that your phone was listening to you in sort of a tacit, oh, sure, it's happening to everyone way. But that was confronted by, that was, I suppose, purported by people in my friend group and my family who said,
we all feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Right. That you are being listened to. And then I met you for the first time, and you are the person who knows most about tech in my circle. And you were saying the opposite. And so now I'm the person in my friend group, in my family group, who says it's not actually a thing. I'm sorry to tell you, I was one of you, which is mad.
The thing is, the ironic thing about all this, like, the tech companies deserve this level of cynicism in a way. I mean, it's not like the poor tech companies, what have they ever done to deserve this sort of skepticism? We know that they do all sorts. They've set up their tracking systems in such an unbelievably intrusive way. We immediately and correctly assume that they would go to very far lengths to track what we're doing. And so why wouldn't they, if they could somehow, listen to our physical conversations as well? But there are actually quite a lot of reasons why they can't do that. It's not just the commercial ones. It's not just the legal ones. It's not just the technical ones. The clincher for me is that you can't buy the ad. You cannot buy the ad. If you go on today and try and buy an ad on Facebook, it's actually a really interesting, quite a democratic system. It's very easy to do. A lot of small businesses use the likes of Facebook for ads. There's no way to buy an ad based on words heard from conversations. There's no way to do it. So if there's no way to do it, why would they be doing it?
Right. And I'm interested, just because you mentioned it at the outset there, if our phones were listening to us, what you mentioned, your battery would be shot to hell. What technical signs would there be that was the case?
Well, if you take, say, an iPhone, for example, when the microphone is engaged in it, typically there will be a sign on your screen showing that the microphone is being engaged. There's all sorts of permissions. In the settings, you actually have toggle on, toggle off controls as to which apps can use can use the microphone. So you would know. Now, there has always been one counter argument to that, and that is, the iPhone listens, for example, for Siri.
Right.
Your smart speaker at home might listen for Alexa. So the counter argument has always been, well, how is it that these devices are listening or can hear you say a watchword? And isn't that proof that they are, in fact, listening?
What is a watchword? Is watchword just Siri
or
question?
Alexa.
Okay.
Or OK Google, or Hey Google, or whatever it is that you set it. But that is a completely different technical thing to your phone recording your conversation, storing those words, filtering those words, and then picking out words that it's going to send back that it wants to then action with advertising partners. Like, for example, Apple doesn't, the iPhone doesn't have an ad platform on its own. So it would have to be, your iPhone would have to be sending back those streams to ad companies and Meta and Google. And we know from the way that Apple talks about those companies that it uses privacy as a differentiator. It would be a cold day in hell that it would allow that to happen, especially when it wasn't making any money out of it.
Right. And it would have to be in real time, and it would all have to be feeding in like a river. Whereas you can imagine that's someone talking about going on a surf holiday 2 years ago is no value to the person, and the marketer. One
of the original explanations for this, for why you were hearing an ad, for seeing an ad after a conversation, was that it was coincidence, when it was confirmation bias. And there is something to that explanation, because if you think about it, even if you believe that the ad that you have seen is related to a conversation you've just had, how often in the year is that? How often in 1 month would that happen to you? I'd say most people would say a maximum that happens maybe once every 5 weeks or 6 weeks. It happened to me last month. I was only mentioning Turkey, about possible Turkey, and then I saw an ad for Turkey. Once every 5 or 6 weeks for one word. Is that an advertising model?
Yeah, and I think as well, just to your point about confirmation bias, you hear a friend say that, 3 weeks later it happens to you, and you're like, it's happening everywhere. You start seeing, the number 13 everywhere. I think our phones are probably doing something more powerful, which is predicting what we're going to search for before we search for it.
I mean, look, there's so many factors. So let's say, for example, the example I used, I think, in the column I wrote about this was a hearing aid. And let's say you were talking about a hearing aid, but let's say you had no interaction with hearing aids before, but you were talking about it randomly. And let's say then you saw an ad for one. Now, Google, Facebook, army of online data brokers will have been tracking your GPS.
Okay.
They might have seen you pause in front of Specsavers or Boots or hearing aid shop. Okay, that's red flag number one, right? They would have definitely paid close attention if you were Googling or searching for something, or even if you had seen a video, let's say on Instagram or YouTube, and let's say you had tapped on it or you had let it autoplay. They know that. now it's starting to build up a profile and an idea of what they think you might be interested in, or is grabbing your attention. They know your age, they know your status, they know your associations, they know your family connections, they possibly know quite a bit about your health characteristics. Maybe depending on what fitness apps you use, maybe on what accessories you use. Then you might have external factors like maybe seasonal ad campaigns, like once or twice in the year. There might be concentrated campaigns for, let's say, for hearing aids. You add all of that up, all of that information, that data and intelligence up, and your phone doesn't need to listen to you to serve you an ad for a hearing aid. I mean, the truth of the matter is, and this is something which I think is a lot more interesting and maybe disturbing if you look at it this way, although notionally we consent to it when we agree to use the devices and agree to use the services and don't opt out or are sort of tricked into opting in. We are part of this giant information matrix. Algorithms track us everywhere. They follow us everywhere we go. They take notes of everything we do, who we talk to, what we browse. And that is the reason why you sometimes see an ad for something that you're interested in, that you happen to talk about. But there's so many other signals around that physical conversation that contributed to you seeing that ad. And then some of it might be coincidence as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struck by the data that they're pulling off social media like Instagram. So in a short video clip, if you skip halfway through, they'll say, oh, there's something in the first 5 seconds that you liked, and that will become a composite in an image of you as, a behavioural organism. So it's fascinating. Also, just in terms of, I mean, you're the tech editor here. What habits could a person change if they wanted to improve or sort of defend against their own digital privacy?
Yeah, so you would have to start trying to minimize the algorithmic tracking of your presence online. That is a lot harder than it sounds. So increasingly you can, if you go into the settings on most social media platforms, you can switch off certain controls. Most people don't want to switch off those controls because most people actually might be the wrong word here, but they are engaged by, maybe addicted to, but certainly engaged by areas of interest that the algorithm is following based on their online behavior. And most people, whether they admit it or not, do not want to turn that off.
Right, because they benefit distinctly from it.
There is a reason why you wake up in the morning and before you do anything, you spend 25 minutes browsing on, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, Blue Sky, Threads, whatever it is. There's a reason why that is the case. It's sending you news that it believes that you're interested in. You probably are interested in.
And I'm interested there with, I suppose, the prevalence of AI. Has AI made the phone is listening to me debate more relevant? Because we're feeding in so much information and we're talking to it as if it's our closest confidant. Well, some people are. Does that make it? Yeah. Chatbots. My psychiatrist, this kind of new flavor of AI.
Yeah, interesting. There was a study from the National Youth Council this week on that and suggesting that there's a bit of pushback against that because people do use it for that reason. They use it as for mental health. They use it as for problems, but a lot of people do not like that fact about themselves, that they're using it for these purposes. Does that in any way relate to the technical question of whether your phone is listening to you or not? Not really. Okay. It just doesn't.
I think it's also worth saying that there are sort of malware out there, such as Pegasus, that can co-opt your phone with like zero-click exploits and can engage the microphone on your phone without alerting the screen to the fact that
to be clear,
it is.
that is a noticeable exception to this whole rule. There is proper international grade spyware that sovereign countries use, like Pegasus, that costs a lot of money, that you can buy on the open market and deploy on the open market, that will infect your phone and feed back a lot of information, sometimes including use of the microphone. That is unbelievably rare. And it's very targeted, and once or twice a year there'll be some news story on it because somebody twigged that it was happening. But that type of spyware is actually built by companies and sold for tens or hundreds of thousands of euro. It's not something that Specsavers or Centra has access
not deployed
to.
in every phone.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, I do not believe for one second that people are going to stop thinking that their phones are listening to them. That is going to keep happening. However, all we can do is bring you the evidence as it emerges. And one of the biggest pieces of evidence to support the phone listening theory was the idea that it was possible to buy ads, and that this company, Cox Media Group, had blown the lid on the industry and had finally admitted on behalf of all ad companies that actually there was a way to sell a system which could listen to your conversation, and then for an ad company to place an ad on a social media feed against that. And we now know that is not true, or at least in this case, it wasn't possible. They made it up. Somebody made it up to try and sell a service, and they have been fined for making that up. So that's all we have for you on that subject at the moment. Thanks for listening or watching. As always, thanks to JJ Clarke, who produced this episode, to Rory Bones on sound. And I'm Adrian Weckler, and you've been listening to or watching The Big Tech Show.